Hi, this is where it all begins, equipment. I have a 5-iron here. It has a grip, it has a shaft, and a head. In yesteryears, when I first came along, we had wooden shafted clubs. Now, it was very difficult to keep a set of clubs in good shape if you practiced and played with the same set. So naturally, you have to have a set you practice with and when you played with. Then along came the match set of clubs.
The match set of
you
clubs.
have the same kind of club, and it's the same weighted head, and it graduates all the way down from the 1 iron right down through the pitching wedge. If you order a set of clubs now from the manufacturer, it usually comes with the 2 iron through the pitching wedge. A 1 iron is an extra club. It is also called a driving iron. Now, starting to play golf, you will have a match set of clubs, but by all means, go to your pro and have him fit you with a set of clubs. If you are a hard swinger, you should have stiff shafts. If you are a lackadaisical swinger of Paul Runyon or Dutch Harrison type player who played very well as some of our better players, well, then you should do a softer shaft with a little more whip. That will give you a little bit more club head speed down at the bottom. Now, some of the fellows have gone so far as to lengthen their shaft, go up to as long as 45 inches. The average set of clubs, I'd say the average for men, run around 42 inches. Well, now we have different kinds of grips. For instance, the overlapping grip. Now, starting this, the club is a palm and finger grip, starting from the first joint of the forefinger, coming here to the base of the little finger with the plug end sticking out and the heel on top. The thumb placed on the club is about 1 o'clock. The V pointing over the right shoulder. Now, in reaching down, just like you were shaking hands with the club, it's entirely a finger grip. It's way down in your fingers. Now, when you overlap the forefinger with the little finger, now your hand also gets right into the thumb, into the hollow of your hand here. Now, both V's coincide with each other and should point over your right shoulder. That is the most common grip used today.
Now, let's review. With the sole of the club flat on the ground, the shaft is not tipped ahead or back. Note how it lies diagonally across the left hand, so it can be held with a finger grip instead of with a tense palm grip that would make it impossible to get any zip from the shot. The fingers of the left hand are turned over the shaft, so the shaft is held firmly, but without any tightening felt in the forearm. There is not much more pressure than you would feel in holding a knife or a fork. This enables you to feel the club head and get the idea of letting the club head swing with natural rhythm. The grip is stronger with the left hand than with the right. The V formed by the thumb and the forefinger of the left hand points toward the right shoulder. This gives you left-hand placement that brings the club head squarely into the ball. There is a conscious feeling that the grip is chiefly maintained with the thumb and the forefinger. The right hand is adjusted for location on the shaft. Note where the shaft is with respect to the placement of the forefinger. Hand is placed on the shaft. This placement protects the player against the tendency to get too much right hand into the shot. It also helps to give a feel of the club head that makes it more natural to swing the club rather than to lift it abruptly and hack at the ball. Notice that the little finger of your right hand lies on top and across the first finger of the left hand. Now, one more time. When you close your fingers to grip the shaft, the thumb of the left hand runs down the outside of the shaft. The V formed by the thumb and the forefinger should point over the right shoulder. Grip the shaft with the fingers of your right hand so the palm of that hand covers the thumb of the left. The little finger of the right hand overlaps the first finger of the left. And the V formed by the thumb and the forefinger of the right hand also points over the right shoulder. This is the overlapping grip. If you feel uncertain about how to accomplish this grip, Rewind your cassette to the top of this section and review the grip as many times as needed.
Now there are other grips, such as the interlocking grip. Now if you notice, I have not changed the position of my hands any other than I have interlocked the little finger with the forefinger of the left hand. To me, you destroy two fingers, but it will keep your hands together if you have a tendency to lose the club. Usually, people with small hands use this particular grip. Now, then we have the five-finger grip, or the baseball grip, where all fingers are on the shaft, but the hands are kept up very tight against each other so that your hands work together. There's one other grip that I left out, and that is the cross-handed grip. I've only seen 3 or 4 people use this type of grip, and I would suggest that a person use that because you're going against the grain, so to speak. Now you see a lot of putting done by the overlap, but that's due to the fellow had a little problem on the green, and we call it the yips. So he tried to transfer his other hand over there to get away from the jerks. The swing is the thing. Now in gripping the club, you grip it very gently so that you do not have any opening of the hands going back or opening coming through. Your hands are the only parts of your body that come in contact with the club. Now after your forward press, I grip this club as light as if I had a baby chicken in my hand, that I wouldn't squeeze it too tightly. But now if you were to grip the club too tight at the address, as a rule you will open up your hands at the top of the backswing, and then you decrease in your downward swing, which causes a whole lot of trouble. The backswing at the top of your backswing should be pointed toward your line of flight. Now we call this a layoff when the club is pointing back behind me. Now when you come across the line up here in this manner, you're apt to hook more. That's not very good either. So in swinging a club and getting your grip proper at the top of the backswing, a good thing is for you to bring the club up in front of you in this manner, cock your wrist, and then move them back up in position. Now if you can do that, now you know then you're ready to really put the club square on the ball and on your intended line of flight. I remember playing with Dan Topping, who was part owner of the Yankees, saying that he had the shank so bad that he had shank-proof clubs built. And on his backswing, he would lay the club off in this manner. That is very bad because then when you start your downswing, the club comes out over your intended line and hitting the ball into the heel of the club, which makes it go squirting off to the right. And so I said to him, I said, Dan, you must have your right hand up on top of your left hand in this manner so that your hands come back inside. And I said, now take the club up like this, put it back up here in that manner there, and then you go from there. And you know, he played golf all year in this manner. He played the best golf he'd played in 10 years. Well, now the impact of the ball, at the moment of impact, you feel like this is a good criteria for you to remember, that you have a hammer in your hand. Instead of hitting the nail on the head there, you're hitting the nail in the back in that manner. So if you see how I straighten up, my left arm becomes straight, the club starts to straighten up at the moment of impact, and doing that you can keep the ball on a direct line. I'll have to try that sometime. Now the follow through and bounce. Your head is the hub to the swing, and it should remain in the same position till after you have struck the ball. It can turn, but it cannot go back and forth and up and down. If you'll watch this swing, now your balance is so important that if your head stays there, consequently, you will have a nice finish. Now the legs play important part in your swing is when you hit the ball and use your legs and your body. It's like if you were to hit a person like that, you wouldn't hurt him, but if you hit it and follow it with your weight, then you get that little extra length that you're looking for. Now you watch this very closely now.
When driving, position the ball opposite the left heel and spread your feet about as wide apart as your shoulders. The correct posture at address finds the knees flexed, the butt protruding a bit, and the arms hanging comfortably, dipping the right shoulder slightly. Notice that Sam Snead bends forward from the waist less than 30 degrees. At address, the club should rest flat on its sole. If the toe is sticking up, there is either too much of a bend forward or the hands are too low. At address, Sam Snead's head is back behind the ball. On the backswing, the weight shifts to the right foot and the left foot rolls to the inside. On the downswing, the weight shifts to the left foot and the right foot rolls to the inside. The waggle is a way of warming up the motor. By waving the club head back and forth over the ball a few times, it eliminates tension and gives you a feel of the club head and a rhythm of the swing. Then you set the club head down behind the ball and make the second little movement, the forward press. At the start of the backswing, keep the club head low and slow. Keep the left arm almost straight throughout the backswing, while tilting and turning the left shoulder. Turn the body as if to look at someone behind you, but don't turn your head. At the top of the backswing, the left thumb should be under the shaft of the club. Remember Sam's tip. Bring your hands up in front of you. Turn to the right, and your hands are placed correctly at the top of the backswing. During the swing, the left arm and club shaft form a straight line. The posture at the address is relaxed and the knees are flexed. The club is taken away low to the ground. Takeaway is low and slow for 18 to 24 inches. The arms, shoulders, and hips work as a package. The body turns but doesn't sway on the backswing. The wrists remain uncocked at this point. The left shoulder tilts and turns on the backswing. The left arm is kept practically straight. With the left arm straight, the weight is on the right foot. The left shoulder is under the chin and the hands are kept high. The club head dips only a little below the horizontal. The left hip turns to begin the downswing. The wrists remain cocked early in the downswing. The left arm pulls down and the right elbow comes in. Uncocking of the wrists is delayed until now. As the wrists uncock and hands enter the hitting area, the right foot digs in to speed the club head. Left arm is kept straight and the head is down. Impact is against the firm left side. The right foot digs in for power at the impact. Note how the head has been kept down. The head remains down as the ball leaves the club face. The straight right arm shows a good finish. The head is still down well after impact. Not until now does the head come up. A good swing results in a good follow-through and good balance from start to finish. Now, let's watch the swing again with the side and front views in slow motion. Now we'll watch it one more time, using a special effect to show the circumference of the swing. And one more time without the effect.
I have a driver. Most important thing is to place your feet in the proper position. First, you set the club head to the ball, then place your left foot for the intended line or direction. And your right foot goes into position, and now the waggle. This is the starter to the backswing. The forward press, and that gets it going just right down the middle where you want it. Now going back into a 3-wood, this ball is moved back in your stance very slightly than where the driver was placed. Now we progress on down to the 2-iron, which is the longest iron club in the bag. The feet now have gotten just a little closer together. The ball now has gone in between the heel and the center of your stance. This ball is struck on the downswing, trusting to the loft of the club to get it into the air. Now we progress going downward to the 5-iron. Now if you'll notice, the ball has been moved back still further in my stance. It's almost in the center of my stance. My feet have become just a little closer together, and the stance or the feet are in a straight line with my target. Still striking the ball down. Now go down the line a little bit further now with the 7-iron. We're in the accuracy club at this moment. Now the ball has been placed in the center of my feet. The feet have become just a little closer together because this swing is not as long as the shot before the 5-iron. Still striking the ball down. And as we progress on down to the 9-iron, now the feet have opened up slightly to my target and closer together. The backswing is not as full. If you notice now, the ball is placed now back in the center of the feet. Still striking the ball down. So now we go down into the wedge. You're not striving for distance in this particular club. You're trying to put it from here from A to B. Now notice that the feet have become fairly close together, slightly open. Now the ball is back in the center again. I never move the ball back further than the center of my stance because I want to strike the ball on a downward blow and at the same time get the ball into the air. Now before you go to the golf course to play, make sure you warm up first, if it's possible. Hit a few balls, but not too many balls, because you can leave all your game right on the practice field. If you don't have a chance to hit balls to warm up, use this form of exercise with the club and on your back, and you turn as if you were hitting a long drive. This will loosen your back muscles up, and so many backs are ruined on the first tee by a man not loosened up properly and ready to go. Now I hope this will teach you a little lesson. Make sure that you practice, David, before you go. Well, this is the first tee. This is where it all began. You know, the driver is the second most important club in the bag. You use this club at least 14 times in a round, sometimes more than that. People that don't hit it quite so far, they must, when you get to a par 3, say 235, they have to jerk out the big one. Well, the old saying goes, you drive for show and you putt for dough. Now, if you keep the ball in the boondocks or in the traps or out of bounds or in the water, what happens? You don't get a chance to putt for the dough, do you? So learn to drive first. Drive and putt. If you can drive and putt, you can win golf tournaments. Without further ado, I'd like to take a nice little smooth swing. Always swing within yourself and let it happen. Right down the middle. When you try to hit that long ball, no go. You must remember, you only hit about 1 out of every 6 when you're really trying to cream it. So play within yourself. Always hit, I'd say about 85% of your strength. Now watch this. The first thing I do, I look down the fairway to see where the trouble is. Now, if we have out of bounds to the left and it's open on to the right, well, I'll make sure that I fade the ball, never hook it. Well, if it's out of bounds to the right and I got room on the left, even though it has traps, I want the ball going toward the trap, not out of bounds, because then you have to retee, you lose 2 shots there. So it's very important to learn how to drive. First, get the club that suits you, and then learn the fundamentals of how to grip the club. That's the most important thing in the world. You see all these terrible grips, well, he has to make a mistake to correct that one, and 2 wrongs don't make a right. Now, with further ado here, suppose we'll tee off. If you notice, I set the club to the ball, place my left foot to get my intended line or direction. Right foot goes back in position. The waggle, this is very important, this waggle and the forward press. That gets the machine rolling. It's a one-piece swing. It's back together, then it's let her go down at the bottom. So now, suppose we'd like to play a different shot or two here. If the out of bounds to the left and it's open to the right, you don't want to go near that out of bounds to the left. So what do I do? I want to cut this ball away from the out of bounds, and if I miss it, it must go to the right. So when I do that, I cut across the ball. This imparts the spin, which makes the ball go from left to right. Now you may see this in my swing. You can see me cut across. The ball just fades right in nicely. Well, it takes a lot of time. You know, you have to spend a lot of time in golf to learn to do the things that you'd like to do. It takes a lot of practice. 3 wood, please. Thank you. Now we come to the fairway wood shot. I have a 3 wood in my hand, but doesn't necessarily mean that you must play a 3 wood. I use this club up to about 235. Then I can also go down to about 200, or maybe even less, depending on the wind and the type lie I have. The lie should designate to you what club you should use. Now, in dressing this ball, I see that the ground is going downhill a little bit, so in order to stop this ball on the green, I must hit this ball with a cut and get it up in the air so it would land a little softer on the green. With a hook, I could not hold that green. So now I will try to play this shot with a cut up into the air so that it will fall lightly on the green. Oh, that's a ticket. You know, it's something in playing clubs, you must select the proper club for that particular lie. It's saving shots that count. Well, David, looks like a pretty good lie. It looks like between a 4 and a 3 iron, according to the distance. Well, I'll try a 3 iron. You know, with a 3 iron, is a very, very good club to use. The average person will not use a 3-iron. They'll use a 4-wood or a 5-wood. But with the pro or the man that has a low handicap, he would much rather play a 3-iron. Now, looking at the lie, I first have to see what kind of a lie I have before I play the shot. And then look at the green to see where the trouble is, how I should play a shot, what kind of shot I should play. This particular shot, I would like to throw a high fade, but first I'll just go ahead and try to hit a normal 3-iron shot. I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday. Now, if the green is hard and I must stop the ball a little faster, then I must get the ball into the air a little higher so that it has a spin on it. It'll come down and stop. I call this my chandelle shot. I told my nephew, J.C., that this was a chandelle. He said, "What is the chandelle shot?" I said, "Well, watch. I'll hit this high 3-iron. It'll come down very softly and like a butterfly with sore feet." Now, if you notice that particular shot, I was a little more quicker on the upswing. In other words, I put a little bit more loft on the club than actually is on it. That's how you get the ball a little higher with that particular shot. Now, if it was in reverse, the wind was coming in very hard and little on from left to right, I would like to throw a low hook in there and let the wind, of course that wind will knock the hook down and almost end up with a straight shot. I do this by hitting the ball a little from the inside out. And also my club will chase the ball on the intended line. That takes a little more loft off the club where you can keep the ball down lower. Now you watch this particular swing against the one I just made with the chandelle shot. Now if you notice, that club stayed with the ball a lot longer through the shot, and which kept the ball down. Well, it's these kind of shots that pays off. Well, David, we were about 175 yards. That'll be a 5-iron, please. Thank you. A 5-iron, I think, is the utility club to your whole golf bag. When you practice with a 5-iron if you have one particular iron you would like to use. Now, if you can use a 5-iron, consequently, you can use a 4 and a 3 and whatever. And same thing goes downward. But the 5-iron is the best club to practice with. Now I have a nice lie, and the wind is very calm, so it should be just a straightforward 5-iron shot. Don't go in the hole. Oh, this feels so good to hit a 5-iron. And now playing a little different shot. Now should the pin be tucked around into the right corner of the green, you don't want to go over that right side because the pin is on the right side. If you miss it on the right side, then Katie bars the door. So now you would like to go in there with a little fade. So you use all the green that you have up there. If you miss it, you'll miss it to the left. So now with a nice high drop-in 5-iron. You notice how I stayed back and came up under the ball. That also helped me to put loft on the ball, get it up in the air a lot higher. Now, should the pin be tucked into the left corner, you'd like to use all the green to the right of the flag. So now you could go in with a little draw. That's a very useful shot. With a 5-iron, you should be able to play all kinds of shots. I love to play these different types of shots. As Leo Diggle once said, there's no such thing as a straight one. He said he's got to have either a fade or a hook. The straight ball is the hardest of all to hit. So now we'll take it in from right to left. If you'll notice, the ball is back just a little bit in my stance. I'll strike it from the downswing inside out. Now that uses up the green, so you're not worried about the ball being in play. There's one thing you don't want to do, and that is try to come in from the other side where the pin is tucked tight. And if you miss the green on that side, well, then the chances are of making a par is remote. Well, Dave, we're right on that 150-yard bush. There's no question about the distance. And that means we have a 7-iron shot. You know, now we're getting down into the nitty-gritty of the matter. 7-iron is now down into the accuracy clubs. You should put this ball from A to B, pinpoint accuracy. You don't have to mess around with it. You just fire it right at it. Of course, sometimes if the green's a little bit hard, why then you may have to play another shot or two. So with a straightforward shot, this should be right at the flag. Well, you should have a putt for a birdie from there, almost, I would say, 85% of the time. So now when the conditions arise where you must hold the ball with a little draw and to keep the wind from taking it over in Timbuktu, I'm still striking this ball from inside out, putting a spin on it to make it draw. Oh, I'd like to go down the road with that. And then the other one, which I think is a little easier shot to play, and that is a high drop-in shot, a little fade. Now this ball will have a tendency to stop a little quicker than a straightforward shot or that hook shot I just played. I can go to school with that. So now, you see, you don't have to have a big club or something that you murder the ball with. You take the club that you can get there with. And don't try to fool around with trying to use too little club. That's the problem with 90% of all amateurs. They never use enough of club. So the next time you play, make sure that you use enough of club to get there. Dave, with that yardage marker there, we got about 128 to the hole. I have a 9-iron. I use this 9-iron up to about 128, just a little less than 130 yards. That's the maximum of a 9-iron. But this pin is tucked in behind a bunker. So now I must throw this ball up a little higher than normal in order to put enough backspin on to draw up for that one putt. For that birdie. Notice how I set the club first and then place my feet. Then the waggle. Now that should stop real fast. I don't think that ball moved 2 feet. That's putting backspin on it. Now, sometimes you're faced with a ball in this position down in a divot. Now in this particular shot, you must go down through the ball. Hold on to the left hand just a little bit firmer because hitting into the ground there, it's apt to turn the blade over and that'll cause the ball to go ski-wide to the left or someplace or not get up in the air. So you must hold on a little bit tighter with the last 2 fingers of the left hand and feel like you will drive the ball on down into the divot. And that ball popped out of there just like Jack in the Box. Well, now we're getting into the place where you should do your scoring. Remember, take enough of club. But if you think you don't have enough of club, go back and get a little bit more, because people are prone never to use enough of club. So that is where the scoring starts now with the short irons. Well, David, looks like we have a little downhill lie here with the feet below the ball, so that'll require about a 7-iron for 145 to 150 yards. Now, my stance here is the same as if I were to play this ball from a dead level lie. However, I am further away from the ball due to the ball being above my feet. I play it exactly like I would a fairway shot. But the average person thinks he will pull this shot to the left and consequently will block it out and put it to the right. But just swing as if you were playing it from a dead level lie. Well, I'd like to have those every day. Now then we have another one here. This is on the downslope. Now this ball is played a little bit further to the left side. Now you already have your loft, so you don't have to worry about getting the ball up into the air. But this means you must stay with the ball. If you don't, you're inclined to pull this ball from this particular shot, but swing straight through on the line that you want the ball to go on. It's a little difficult, though, playing this because you must keep your weight on the left side. On the backswing, your weight must stay there, but above all, stay with the ball through the shot. Keep your head anchored right behind it. Let the club do the work. Now we have a ball here which the ball is below the feet, a little on a downslope, running away from me. Now, this particular shot is not my cup of tea. I don't think anybody likes this shot. And now this ball is played back just a little bit back of center where you would play a normal shot. And you stay with it on the slope, and you're standing, if you'll notice my feet are closer to the ball now than they were when I had the ball above my feet. Now I have extended a full length on the shaft, so I swing this as if I were playing it off a very normal and flat lie. It's very difficult to maintain your balance on this particular shot, but keep your head still behind that ball and stay there until you look up and you see the ball flying. Now the most difficult shot of all of these uphill, downhill lies is the one that is running downhill. And a steep shot like this, then you must go to a more lofted club. Now this particular swing, you swing down through the ball, way the terrain goes, the slope of the ground, you stay with it and let your club go down through toward your hole. Now if you try to pluck this ball off, you invariably hit behind it. It's very important to play the ball back just past center and strike it on the downswing and follow the plane of the ground toward the hole. It's very difficult now. Did you see that shot? It's very difficult to get this ball up as high as you would like it, but then you must go to a more lofted club. And now we go to the bunker. Here we have a long bunker shot, and I'm, say, 215 yards from the green, so I go to a wood, but never use a wood in this trap if you can get away from it, because if you do not have the front of the trap down low in the manner in which this trap was designed, then it's very difficult to get the ball up high enough. So you go to a more lofted wood. Now, in dressing this ball, you set the club. You cannot sold your club in the trap. So you set the club to where you think you have the right distance from the ball. Now you work your feet down in the sand, where you have a very good foundation, where your feet cannot slip and move. If your feet move and slide in the sand trap, usually you come up with a top shot. So now I have worked my feet down. I've choked down on the club just slightly. I'm using a little bit more wrist with this so I can flick the ball out. If you hit behind the sand, the ball into the sand, usually you don't get it out. So you take the ball first. Now you see, I slipped on that because I didn't have enough foundation underneath. So now we'll go to another, give me a ball, David. We'll go to another shot. That's what I was trying to impress upon you, is to get your feet well anchored down in the sand so that you can stay put and not move. If your feet move around in the sand, it throws your timing off. You see how much better that shot came off? Now my feet was anchored down deep enough where they didn't move on my backswing. So now we'll go to an iron. A 3-iron. Again, I must impress upon you, make sure you have a club that you can get out of the bunker over the top, because if you don't get out of the top of the bunker, now you've lost another shot. You're still in the bunker, and you're worse off probably than you were before. But make certain that you have enough aloft on the club. It's saving shots is what you want to do. Now again, I've worked my feet down in the sand where I have a firm foundation. Now I'm able now just take my normal swing. I'm picking this ball off, but I make sure that I'm hitting the ball on the downswing. Now, you can play this shot like you do a fairway shot, but make certain you pick the ball first. Now we'll go to a little shorter club now, say for instance a 5-iron shot. Now we're coming down where, after you work your feet down into the sand, this becomes a little bit easier. Make certain you hit the ball down. Don't try to loft it, but hit it down and let the club face bring the ball off of the sand. Let your club face get the ball into the air. Now we come to one where, well, you just got to take your lumps and go along with it. David, I'll have sand iron, please. Now it's impossible for me to hit this ball toward the green. So now I put it there, and you put it there. So now we have to do the next bet. Well, we just have to play it back here, play safe. But don't try to get it out of here, because you hit into the bank, now you're in more trouble. So just go ahead and play it safe. Put in the trap again. Give me another. Try that again now. Make certain you get it out of the trap. All right, so you've lost a shot, but you put it there. So you have to go along with it. This is a little tough shot here. You know, these are shots you don't have too often, but you should be able to know how to play them in case you do get them. Now, this ball is definitely on a steep incline going toward the flag, so now I will use a pitching wedge, play the ball back off of my left foot. Now, I must open the blade and try to slide the face of the club under the ball and just to pop it up so I can get a little pitch and run down to that hole there. And now we'll go over to a couple more toughies. We have one here that you're restricted on your backswing, so now this requires a little scrape shot, so now I have to change clubs. David, give me 8, please. I will take this club back inside and sort of make a hoop or bring it around, so that I could miss this tree and at the same time get the ball on my intended line or direction. And now we have one here. It's almost frozen against the tree, but I'm able to swing this. This is a little easier shot than the others, but sometimes they bother people where they can't see. Now I can't hardly see the ball here, but I'll keep my weight on that left side and my left arm nice and straight through the ball. And now we have one here that if I was left-handed, it would be a very easy shot, but I'm not left-handed, so now due to the angle of this tree being back, I'm able to straddle the tree and get a little closer to it, but I'm trying to keep my legs out of the way so that I don't hit my leg on the follow through. But I stay real still on this. Keep that left arm straight through this. Don't let it bend through the shot. All right, now we have one back here. Now this is a run-of-the-mill shot. This is the easy shot here, supposed to be. You should be able to get this ball up and down in one putt. Keep that left arm straight through the shot. Now we're just off the edge of the green. If you'll notice, my weight stays on the left foot and fairly close together. Arm stays straight again. On this shot, you strike it on the downswing, let the loft of the club. This is what we call a chip or pitch and run. All right, now we'll go to the trap. Well, David, this is a little ticklish. I'll take the 8-iron, please. Now, here's a very difficult shot, but also a very dangerous shot. Now, you must be very careful to pick this ball off of this line. If you hit it the least bit fat, you'll hit in against the butt of the green here where it's cut, and you'll hardly move the ball anywhere. But keep that left arm straight again as you strike this ball. See how I picked that ball off of there? Let it roll up. Now we get into the sand. Here is a very tough shot to get to the hole, especially if you have a long trap shot. Now I'm up against the lip of the trap here, but I'll pick the club up, put a little more loft on it, and I'll have to swing a little harder with this particular shot because the ball will go a little higher, trying to get it to the distance that the flag is away from me. Now, that's about as good as you could expect from that type of line, that close to the bank. Now we move back here to a normal lie. This is desert sand, and it's a little coarse, but it's not too difficult to play on. We do have harder sand. Silken sand, I think, is the hardest, but I prefer beach sand because it packs, and then you don't have to swing quite as hard. This you have to swing fairly hard. First, to work my feet down into the sand so I have a firm foundation. Now the ball is played up off of my left heel, and I strike the ball on the downswing. Now, if you notice, my left arm is straight through this shot. A lot of people let their left arm buckle and oftentimes don't get out of the bunker at all. Now we have what we call a poached egg. This ball will come out with no backspin whatsoever, so you must allow for the amount of run it will go on the green. And now we have really a buried ball. This ball must be struck behind and down, a downward swing, and close the face slightly. The ball will pop up, but you must allow for the amount of run it will take after it hits the green. If you notice, my feet are well down in the sand, so I have a good firm foundation. Now it's up, you must strike the ball down to get it to come out. Now I think one of the most difficult ones to play is in the back of the trap where you have a downhill lie. In this manner, the ball then is placed back off the right foot, and now you open the face a little bit and go down with the plane of the sand. In other words, you follow the contour of the sand right down toward the flag. And for me, this is a hard, actually when the ball is lying clean, is an uphill lie, and oftentimes you'll either pick it too clean or you hit behind it, and either one is very bad. So you try to follow the plane of the sand or of the ground along. So I try to take the club back and let it follow the plane of the ground, so to speak. Now, the more you practice your sand shots, the better you'll be. Now we'll get into putting. This is the most important part to the golf game. This is where you save shots or you lose them. There are several grips used in putting. One was with the grip in yesteryears, in stroking it that way. Now they're striking the ball with arms and hands as one unit. There's no break whatsoever in wrist at all. This was, I think, popularized by Charles from New Zealand, and he was a left-handed player besides, and I think he was the best putter for 10 straight years. And he putted with arm and hand as one unit, no break whatsoever. Most of the fellows today are putting that way. Tom Watson has a little different setup where his weight is on his left hand, on his left foot. And if you watch Tom Watson, he'll sit there and it's just so smooth. I think he's our best putter at the moment. Now we have Liskey that puts cross-handed in this manner. Well, most of them putt cross-handed is when they have the yips, and then they have to cross over to cross-handed. They think they can get rid of the yips by putting cross-handed. I don't think that'll last very long. But the most popular one is the hand and arm grip, no break whatsoever with the hands or the arms, one-piece swing. Now when your nerves become frayed, you get older, your putting goes haywire, and you want to quit. Some people have quit, but you know, I was in that same boat, and I tried to find a way that I could still putt. I was playing well enough, so I went to what we called the croquet style, where I putted between my legs. I was getting pretty good at this, but then the USGA came along and says, no, you can't do that. We've outlawed that, so now you must not straddle the line of putt. So therefore, then I had to move over on the side and putt in this manner. Now, if you'll keep your right arm straight, don't grip the club with your fingers. Just attach the club to your arm with your thumb and forefinger and putt entirely with your arm. This way, there's no chance of yips. You don't have any yips whatsoever. And I think you'll find you enjoy your golf game all over again. Well, you know, in putting, it always helps to know which way the green grows in that particular golf course. Now understand, the green here goes to the Salton Sea. Also, if you're putting a green, especially these short putts, and how you tell the way the green is growing, you walk up, and if it's eaten out, say on the left side here, you know the green is going to the left. Now if it's eaten out on the right side, you know the green is going to the right. So therefore, you must allow for a certain amount of break with that green. It will break the ball the way the green is going. Now this ball should break a hair to the left because we're going toward the Salton Sea up there, and that is where all the putts break, toward Salton Sea here. There's nothing to it. If you know where the green goes and you get the right stroke at the right time, in she goes. A little hard. You try to, when you put these short ones, try to hit that little dot on the back or the dimple where you have the putter lined up on the ball, and you make them in the sides. Again, head stays still and you stroke goes right through toward the hole. There's nothing to it. You know, you got to practice. And the only way you do that is on the old-fashioned way, you practice. Now in reading long putts, now this is a putt you don't expect to make half the time even, but you must look this putt over very carefully. You're putting to the hole and not at the hole. But first of all, you want to know what the speed is and the contour of the green is. Now, sometimes this is coming down pretty sharply, but then it levels off and comes up slightly at the hole, so you know it's going to slow down a little bit more at the hole. Now, if you know these things, then you can go back and feel free to putt. And if you have one that's, say, it's going down the last 10 feet, and you just line it up from back there, usually you'll putt 6 or 7 feet by. But always walk the center of your putt and look at the contour of the green to see where it's falling, whether it's coming left or right or whatnot. You don't pick it all up by just aiming it from back of the ball or back of the hole. But now I have this contour pretty much in mind. Now all I have to do now is think of speed. First I set my putter on the line I would like the ball to go on. Now all I have to do is concentrate on the speed at which I hit this ball to get it close to the hole. So it's nothing to it if you got the speed and the direction. Well, I got a little anxious with the last one. That's not too bad, 2 out of 4 from 35 feet. That's the name of the game. You know, that little putt there means as much as a 300-yard drive. So when you have those long putts, you try to nurse it to the hole. And then you go at it when you get inside of 10 feet. You try to make those, but not those 30-footers. Stay away from those 3 putters. And you'll watch your score come down and down.
Travel accommodations provided by the Indian Wells Desert Resort in Indian Wells, California. The restaurant, Dharma Grub, in Palm Springs, California, provided the meals. Golf carts provided by the Electric Cart Distributors in Rancho Mirage, California.